G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marky Industries, back from holiday, and we're reading some more stories from Reddit. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and let's get straight into it. Alrighty folks, kicking things off on relationship advice, this one was written by user Feelin' Left Out, and it's titled, My friends didn't invite me to their wedding, then made me the bad guy. A friend, Greg, 28, in my circle of friends, met Shannon, 28, about 5 years ago, and they immediately hit it off. Everybody instantly fell in love with Shannon because she's friendly and really fun to hang out with. They were everybody's favourite couple and really made our hangouts much more fun. We all knew they were perfect for each other. They both made our crew that much better. The engagement was expected, but much welcome news. Our friends' circle was buzzing about the inevitable wedding. Then the invitations went out. You know those save the date magnets that people send out? Well, it really sucked seeing them on everybody else's fridge when I visited friends, knowing I didn't get one and wasn't invited. Feeling left out really sucks, but it gets worse. I completely understand how stressful wedding planning is, and I believe nobody should feel that they have to invite people they don't want to their wedding. It's their day and their ceremony, and they shouldn't have to have people there who they don't want there. I didn't cause a fuss or express to anyone that I was hurt that I felt excluded from the wedding, and by extension excluded from the group. I didn't want to be looked on in an even worse way that I feel I was apparently being looked at, but one friend actually stood up for me. When their wedding came up in conversation and people talked about booking flights and rooms, destination wedding in New York City, eventually I was asked if I booked yet. I said, me and my girlfriend, weren't invited. Nobody could believe it, but I insisted that I wasn't upset because I know how situations like this can go. I didn't want to cause trouble because then the happy couple might resent me, then I'd be the bad guy. I heard through other friends that my friend Tracy thought it was really messed up that I wasn't invited. She and I never spoke of how I wasn't invited to the wedding, but she really felt a certain way about it. So, a month before the destination wedding, I got a text from Greg basically saying sorry for forgetting to send an invite, but that they would love to have us come to the wedding. It was way too late at that point for me. I couldn't get away from my job, and I didn't have a chance to put money aside for a year for an expensive New York City destination wedding like everybody else did. I didn't even get to save the date. Every flight and hotel, no rooms where everybody else was staying obviously, too late for that, was unaffordable for me. I texted him back that I couldn't make it. The wedding came and went, and I felt bad about everything. I saw the Facebook pictures of my friends all having the time of their lives. It looked like a great wedding. There's even a picture of just the group of friends labelled The Crew. I don't think I've ever felt so left out, honestly. It really made me feel worthless and unwanted. So naturally, the typical thoughts surfaced. They don't like you, they think you're annoying, they think you're an a-hole. If you can't identify the schmuck in a group of friends, that means you're it. They think you try way too hard to be nice and think you're a phony. Then, as if it couldn't get any worse, Shannon messaged me on Facebook asking why I didn't RSVP and said they missed me at the wedding. RSVP? RSVP? Doesn't one have to be invited in order to RSVP? Everybody got a year to prepare between getting save the dates and actual wedding invitations. I got a text message a month before the wedding. Just as I feared, I'm being made out to be the bad guy, and I even made a point to keep my feelings to myself and play it cool. But as usual, I didn't say this to her because I know how I would end up looking. I actually apologised for, I don't even know, but I made a point to mention how I spoke with Greg about it. I also made sure to compliment the wedding pictures and say it looked like fun. I did everything I could in that conversation to make it easier on her, and of course now I feel like a total schmuck. That was this past summer, and I haven't seen them since. I feel like that's it for me in the group now. I see some of the friends in our group every now and then, but everything feels different now. None of them even responded to my birthday party Facebook invite this month. I feel like things are being said behind the scenes, and I feel completely out of the loop. It felt like a passive-aggressive message that maybe Greg and Shannon never actually liked me. My fiancée gets along great with Shannon, and she's just as confused. Seeing her confusion just makes my heart break even more because she's a sweetheart who's never offended anybody in her life. I wish I could break it to her that I'm just the guy in the group that Greg and Shannon think sucks, but I don't know how, and I feel like a complete loser who deserves this. I'll always appreciate Tracy for sticking up for me. She may never know how awesome it feels hearing about how she told everybody it was messed up that I was left out. I haven't even spoken to her about how the whole thing made me feel, or anybody for that matter. Reddit, you're the first to hear about it, because I didn't want it to appear like I'm making a stink and become even more disliked. This whole thing just frickin' sucks. I feel like I don't have friends anymore, and to make it worse, soon I'll have a wedding of my own, and I'm afraid I won't have any friends there, except for Tracy, of course. How am I supposed to handle who I invite so it doesn't seem like I'm leaving people out for petty revenge? How the hell do I navigate a toxic situation that I had no hand in creating? I still feel like I'm in the dark, or could be overreacting. What the hell? Yeah, gee, I can't imagine how frustrating that must be for OP. When you think you've done everything right at every turn and you still end up getting shafted. Yeah, what a bummer. Let's go to the comments. Dude, there's no magical way of people finding out what you're going through, so you have to tell them yourself. Stand up for yourself. Your feelings matter. Have an honest conversation with Tracy. Ask her if the gang has a problem with you and how you've started to feel left out ever since the wedding. Tell her that though you felt bad about not being invited, and that the last-minute invite via text felt more like an afterthought than a genuine invite, it wasn't the reason you didn't come for the wedding. Tell her that since you got invited in the last minute, everything was crap expensive and that you couldn't afford the trip. Finish by telling her how much your gang means to you, and that you hope things can get back to normal. P.S. Also, don't forget to thank her for standing up for you. Dude, Greg is a passive little fake B. He never had the balls to let you know he didn't like you. Instead, he made everyone choose sides behind your back. And even worse, he still hasn't said anything to you. And that goes for everyone else as well, except for Tracy. Dude, you don't need fake-ass spineless people in your life. Friends come and go, my guy. These people sound like softies. Opie replies, yeah, Tracy is awesome. A few other friends also stood up for me, but I haven't seen them much lately because of hectic schedules. But she said they feel awful about everything. I'm going to give them a call and talk to them about it. It's an awkward situation to put anyone in. Dude, you clearly tell them you are not respected like the others. Cut them out. This is about self-respect. Find new friends. Don't turn back. Opie says, thanks for reading and responding. Yeah, I've been thinking, I guess I can have my younger brother be the best man and just not have the groomsman, considering the circumstances. It's just effed how I did everything I could to avoid looking like the bad guy, yet here we are. I'm the bad guy regardless of anything I did. That totally sucks. I would be hurt too. Do you think maybe Greg was in charge of sending invites to his friends and forgot, or it got lost in the mail? I had an invite get returned to me 1 month after I sent it, but thankfully I'd sent a save the date and sent my invite super early, so it ended up being fine. But if I hadn't, one of my cousins might have incorrectly thought you was excluded. It sounds like Shannon, at least, thought you were sent an invite if she was upset you didn't RSVP. You actually did RSVP by texting Greg back, but it sounds like she thought you'd been sent an RSVP response card. Opie replies, yeah, it could just be a simple misunderstanding, but word seemed to get around early that I didn't get a save the date, and even later didn't get an invite either. Tracy especially seemed to make sure everybody was aware that she wasn't happy about my exclusion. The other friends I spoke to didn't even suggest that it could have been a mistake, almost like they knew something I didn't but didn't feel comfortable saying it. Only one person ever spoke up on my behalf. Okay, Opie makes an update 3 days later. I half took everyone's advice and brought it up with Tracy. She just confirmed that Shannon was full of crap when she asked me why she didn't get my RSVP and wanted to absolve herself of guilt. I'm not sure if they forgot or if I just wasn't invited yet, but Tracy said we'd talk about it more tonight when she gets out of work. And an update later that night. I spoke about it in depth with Tracy. It turns out Greg's best man, someone who was never in the gang but grew up with Greg, always hated me, and Greg thinks I'm annoying. Shannon later felt bad they chose not to invite me and pressured him to invite me over text, knowing I wouldn't be able to make it. Also, it wasn't only Tracy who thought it was wrong that I didn't get an invite, and the chatter is what made Shannon ask me why I didn't RSVP, to make it seem like my invite was lost in the mail. It feels better knowing this because, like I said, they don't have to have people they don't want at their wedding. But knowing Greg doesn't like me freaking hurts because I always thought we were friends. Turns out he's the phony. Unfortunately, everybody else, except for Tracy and a few others, like Greg more than me, so they kind of felt like they had to choose a side after Tracy And a few others, it turns out, brought up why I didn't get invited. Lots of people feeling guilty about this apparently. They still felt like they had to choose a side for whatever reason, probably because most of them went to high school with Greg. Oh well, that's life. Thanks for the advice about being more assertive. Those of you polite about it were very helpful. Thanks. And some final comments. Yeah, you don't need those two-faced a-holes in your life. Congratulations on finding out before they borrowed money from you. When they get divorced, you can reach out to Greg and tell him that he deserves it. Opie replies, "It's funny you bring up borrowing money because they're the type who always want to split the check when they order the most expensive crap and always say, 'I'll get you back,' and 'I don't trust Venmo. I'll just give you cash when I go to the ATM,' and then they don't. On the plus side, I don't have to pay for part of their steak and lobster dinners anymore." The comments ask OP if he'll invite Greg and Shannon and the best man to his wedding. Now, I don't think it would be right to force anybody to choose sides because that feels inappropriate to do to friends. I think everybody who stood up for me gets an invite. Greg can have his best man and be the cynical idiots they are together. Honestly, nobody really likes the best man all that much because he's always acted like an obnoxious a-hole when he's been around us. They can have each other. Opie, when told to talk to Greg directly and get it from the source. I actually got confirmation and an apology from someone else. Not everybody was cool with it, but she's the only one who really has a spine and spoke up for me. Turns out they effed up and caused all kinds of drama between people in the group. Some people wanted to keep me out of the loop so I wouldn't feel insulted. I kind of get it, but it just makes me appreciate Tracy more. Another comment says, "In this situation, you aren't the bad guy from my perspective, and to be honest, a destination wedding is a dick move on your friend's part. The sheer inconvenience of one is like a dick move supreme, especially the fact that they chose New York City, WTF. Plus, some people turn into a-holes after marriage, and statistically speaking, your married male friend is going to be spending much more time with his wife now than his friends. In some ways, marriage is like high school. You go to it with your friends for a little while, then you start to drift away from another by barely communicating." Opie replies, "Shannon is from up there and she wanted to be closer to her family. Yeah, turns out they didn't want me there and felt pressured once some of my friends realised. I guess it was easier to make the decision when it was just the two of them, and they lost confidence in the choice when people found out." The commenter adds, "I feel it's best to let the consequences of this affect them and just move on." And Opie replies, "Yeah, hopefully they learn from this and aren't such a-holes in the future. I don't see Greg ever changing from the cynical and negative guy he is, but you never know." Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Yeah, crappy situation, but I guess the silver lining is that these quote-unquote friends aren't in Opie's life anymore, and that's a blessing. Hopefully Opie doesn't keep apologising when he's done nothing wrong in the future. Anyway, let's leave that one there and move on to another story. Okay, going over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Leonay68, and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for not agreeing to house my pregnant teenage sister and her delinquent boyfriend after our parents disowned her?" My family and I grew up very poor. From when I was old enough to legally work, I, 19 female, have had to take on multiple jobs while balancing school to help with my family and my younger sister. Growing up, I never had a lot, and whatever money I earned I would spend on my sister, 16, and family. When I was 18 and had just been accepted into college, my dad's business that he'd worked on for the past couple of years finally took off. This also meant that my sister could now have a normal high school experience without worrying about money. While I was in college, I wasn't in contact with my sister that much since I was so busy with schoolwork. However, from our calls and her social media, I could tell that she had changed completely and was involved with some bad people. She would post videos on her Snapchat of her getting drunk, smoking weed, dueling, driving while most likely drunk and high, etc. I tried reaching out to her, but she would mostly deny the claims and told me to mind my own business. At some point, she justified her actions using the argument, "This is what the cool kids do now. Not everyone was a nerd like you in high school." One of my high school friends, who also has a brother in the same grade, reached out to me and said that she heard that my sister was seeing a sketchy guy from another school. Apparently he sells drugs and was expelled from my sister's high school. I asked my sister about this and she denied it. Last week I got a phone call from my mum who was sobbing. She tells me that my sister is pregnant. I was so shocked that I could not speak. Then I was angry. When I was her age and even younger, I gave her everything, and so did my parents, so she could have all the opportunities her peers had. Since my dad's business became lucrative, they've given her every opportunity to succeed. Any extracurricular and sport she wants, academic tutoring, school activities, etc. I never got any of those things. It angered me so much that she took all of this for granted and effed up her life. The father? Her delinquent boyfriend who got expelled and sells drugs. She blows up my phone, but I don't respond. She then sends me a series of long text messages asking if she can crash at my place. She also asked me if I could make her an appointment to see a doctor. Lastly, she asked if it would be okay if her boyfriend comes and stays over sometimes. I shut her down. I told her that you dug this hole for yourself. If you allowed yourself to become pregnant, then you should be able to deal with the consequences. Also, I'm currently sharing a small apartment with 2 roommates. She begged some more and I denied her. In the past few days, she's still been texting me and calling me non-stop, saying that she has nowhere to go and has been living in her boyfriend's car. I haven't responded to a single message of hers, but I feel my resolve wavering a bit. I fully don't support her, but maybe I'm being an a-hole. Edit, to clarify, I would still never house her in my apartment. That would be extremely disrespectful towards my roommates and would get me kicked out due to the lease agreement. I meant I was considering giving in and sending her some money. And edit 2, my parents have disowned her, not kicked her out. They're refusing to acknowledge that she is their daughter, but she's still welcome to live in their house. She chose not to since my parents are absolutely fuming and probably will yell at her and criticize her, which she honestly needs. Yeah, I mean, in that case, definitely not the a-hole for OP. Sounds like she can still have a roof over her head if she's just willing to look down the barrel and, face the consequences of her actions. And like OP said, she needs to do that. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. It hurts to watch families suffer the consequences of their actions, but you aren't refraining from helping to be vindictive or to get even. You aren't helping her because of the way she's treated you and your family. It's hard to do, but you are not the a-hole. Opie replies, honestly, I think this is an important lesson that she needs to learn. Actions have consequences and you need to learn to deal with them like an adult. Another comment adds, not the a-hole, not just that, but you absolutely should not ride the roller coaster she's chosen for herself. You say it all in your post. She had every advantage, first from your hard work, then from your dad's hard work, and she chose to F it up. What's more, drugs are involved, and you never want to get involved with people who are druggies, let alone let them into your apartment. They'll steal you blind. This is her problem to solve. She can move back with your folks. She has choices. She won't be on the street. But even if she was on the street, not your problem. If you're worried about the baby, and she's still being irresponsible, then that's for Child Protective Services to deal with. There are so many reasons for you to stand firm. 1, she built this, she has to deal with it. 2, she needs to learn that actions have consequences. And 3, helping her is not only enabling her bad behavior, it's also enabling drug abuse with her and her boyfriend. Again, enabling equals prolonging. The best way you can help her is to cut her off. But this doesn't count the most important reason of all. You. You have earned your decent life. You've worked hard. You've helped your family. You've helped your wretched, spoiled sister. Now you get to live your life. You get to put reasonable boundaries around your life, and that's what this is, a reasonable boundary, and not ruin your own life by being dragged into someone else's mire. I know it's hard because you've spent so much of your life being so generous and so giving, but honestly, OP, it's your turn to think for yourself and what you deserve, and you deserve to live a good life. It's a tough one, but I'm going to go with everyone sucks here except you. Your parents should have done something a long time ago to rein her in, rather than wondering why she's wound up pregnant now. The school should have intervened a long time ago if she was seeing that guy, because I'm sure they were at least somewhat aware, if the students were, and the boyfriend sucks for obvious reasons, and the sister sucks too for obvious reasons. Personally, I'd offer her money for an abortion and pay it directly to the clinic, and then pay the clinic to check her for STIs and install some kind of long-acting contraception like an implant, a ring or an IUD. Not getting her contraception pills because those are easy to forget or throw away, and not the Depo-Provera injection unless you're 100% okay with taking her back to the clinic for another shot every 3 months without fail, although it could be a good option if you are. I'd also get her a bunch of condoms, but don't trust her to use them by themselves. If she's vehemently against abortion, I'd still try 100% and try and get your parents to get her to go after the baby is born for said contraception. I personally wouldn't trust her with lots of money unless she ditched the boyfriend and every last one of those friends. She'd just spend it on drugs. Maybe $20 here and there, but you could also ask what she wants it for and go buy her the stuff she needs instead. And if she keeps hanging out with that crowd, dear God, call CPS. Another comment says, I have a feeling if you gave in, you'd just be taken advantage of by your sister and her deadbeat boyfriend. Not the a-hole. If she's old enough to be a mummy, she needs to learn to care for herself and grow up. You also have to consider your roommates. I'm sure they'd love to have 2 more and eventually 3 people living there. Opie says, absolutely, I would never put this on my roommates. To clarify, I meant my resolve was wavering in that I might end up sending her some money, not offering to house her. That's still an absolute frickin' no. Not the a-hole. She still has an option for a roof over her head and she chooses to stick it out with her loser boyfriend in his car. But your parents should not disown their daughter for this. It will only push her closer to her loser boyfriend. You should also be there for her as emotional support. Don't let her stay with you if you get in trouble with roommates and landlord, but let her know it will be okay. She made a mistake, be an example, and someone she can lean on. Opie says, yes, absolutely. I've sent her a ton of advice, including links, forums, general information. She's chosen to ignore that advice and instead continue to ask me to live at my place. Not sure what I'll do, but I don't think I'm going to get more involved than that. Like you said, she has somewhere to go back to. She's just choosing not to because she can't take the criticism. Okay, enough of the comments. Let's go to an update. 17 days later. It's been a little more than 2 weeks since my first post, and I guess it's safe to say now that the situation has been resolved in probably the best way possible. In my last post, I stated that my sister was still living in the car of her delinquent boyfriend who sells drugs and refusing to come home because my parents had disowned her. At this point, I would like to clarify that my family and I are Chinese, and it's common in Chinese culture to disown your kids when they do something that largely disappoints or embarrasses you. However, this is not a permanent disownment like many of you have brought up. As long as my sister apologizes sincerely and they can see that she is actively trying to fix her mistake and become better, they will take her back as their daughter. Another clarification would be for those people who assumed that my dad kept us poor since he was stubborn and wanted to work on his business and not get a real job. His business was a passion project on the side. My dad was working 50 hours a week at 2 jobs. Alrighty, on to what ultimately happened with my sister. Despite the chain of advice I sent her, she ignored me still. I regularly checked in with her over the next week to see how she was, and she gave me one-word replies until they ultimately stopped. I was growing concerned after she didn't pick up her cell, but then I received a call from my parents. According to my mum, my sister had returned home crying and begging for forgiveness. She had a serious talk with my parents where she apologised for her behaviour and promised to make amends. My mum was very tearful as well. They scheduled a doctor's appointment for her immediately, and I believe she went in the next day. I had no idea what made her finally break and return home, so I texted her. First, I told her I was proud of her for taking action and being mature, and asked if anything happened between her and her boyfriend. At first, she was pretty stubborn and kept insisting that she was just over living in a car, but after a while she finally admitted that her boyfriend had requested that she start selling for him if she wanted to keep living in his car and eating his food that he was sneaking her. Laughing my ass off. What a frickin' a-hole. Glad my sister finally returned to her senses. She told me she broke it off with him, and I sincerely hope that's the truth. This past Monday, she got the pills to successfully terminate her pregnancy. According to my mum, she was begging that they do it ASAP, which was really a breath of relief for all of us because we were worried she might want to keep it. The future seems pretty bright right now for her. My parents decided to pull her out of the public school and send her to a progressive private school that some of my close friends also went to. It's a fantastic school and I think it'd be great for her. She's officially starting next Monday. I'm going to visit her and my family this weekend and see how she's doing. Edit, forgot to add that the new school also has a wonderful counselling department. I urged my parents to speak to the head psychologist there, and they did, and she'll be having mandatory weekly meetings with her and another therapist at the school. Okay guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, Opie wasn't kidding. That was probably the best possible ending out of all the scenarios there. The only way it would be better is if, I don't know, she started working at a charity or something, I guess. Anyway, the sister got a second chance and let's hope she makes the most of it. You know the drill, let me know your thoughts down below. Anyway, we're moving on again. Okay, still on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user SailorsMoon20 and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my friend a creepy weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband? I, 28 female, am friends with this girl, let's call her June, also 28. In fact, my husband, 32, and I often hang out with June and her boyfriend, i.e. go on double dates, have weekend trips, etc. We've known each other for over 2 years. I would say that we four were pretty tight as a group, up until this weekend. My husband is an orthodontist. One of his patients is June's half-sister Raya, 12. June often is the one accompanying Raya to her dental appointments. June is also a small-time online influencer. She's always recording and vlogging and stuff. Though my husband and I have made it clear to her and we're absolutely not okay with our faces in her vlogs online, and she seemed to respect that boundary. We don't use social media, apart from Reddit, and we trusted her word when she said she's not going to post us online. Cut to last weekend. My brother sent me this TikTok link with the message, "Dude, you gotta watch this." I opened the link and it directed me to June's TikTok account. She doesn't have many followers, less than 10k, but the particular video he sent me had like 500,000 views and likes, I'm not sure which. Lo and behold, it was a video compilation of my husband with the title, "God, I see what you've done for others." The video was honestly the creepiest thing I've ever seen. She had recorded my husband during various of our double dates together, and it was clear he wasn't even aware he's being recorded. In some of the clips, she would start with her face and then pan the camera towards my husband with a cutesy expression and mouthing words like, "Oh my god." The worst one was where he was working on her half-sister Raya, wearing scrubs, and she'd recorded even that. She didn't even bother to blur out the kid's face while she was lying on the dental chair. I showed the video to my husband and he was horrified. He said it made him so uncomfortable and violated knowing that someone had been secretly recording him. He was angry that she'd recorded him working on a patient. He texted her, asking her to take down the video and delete every video she has of him. First, she feigned ignorance. Then she said that she meant no harm and that it was all for online engagement since, I quote, "TikToks with hot guys go viral very fast," and that she'd gained a lot of followers after posting that. This was all so weird, but my husband and I got our families and friends to report the video, and thankfully it's being taken down now. This ticked off June, and she sent me a long-ass text saying how I was jealous of her online success and that I couldn't stand seeing her succeed, blah blah blah. I replied saying, "You're delusional and unhinged, you're not successful and you'll never be, stay away from us, you creepy weirdo." Now she's all weepy and depressed and has been telling our common friends how mean I was to her. She's also been posting about mental health on her socials and about how mean some women are with their words, lol. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, nah, come on OP, you know you're not the a-hole here. I think her text to June is probably pretty similar to what I would do in this situation. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. You and your husband had set clear boundaries and she violated those boundaries. This shows that she does not respect you all at all. I recommend cutting her off entirely, as anyone who disturbs your peace is not worth your time. Opie replies, "Yes, we're cutting her off entirely. I don't know if her boyfriend is aware of this or not, but I guess he'll have to be collateral damage, because I don't want her to weasel her way back into our lives." Not the a-hole. People who think online engagement is more important than basic human decency are sadly not at all uncommon, and they are, as you say, delusional and unhinged. Their success is not real, and except in very few cases, it never will be. Opie says, "It's psychotic, honestly. My husband is so freaked out about this. I feel so bad for him." He might need to drop the half-sister as a patient and or tell the parents that she, June, is not allowed to accompany her anymore. I agree, that is a creepy weirdo. If she can't get followers or likes without lying and getting consent for people to be recorded, then she needs to find a new career. Opie says, "Yes, he's in the process of informing her parents. I don't think he's going to drop her as a patient as her treatment is almost done, and it's going to be a hassle for her to find a new orthodontist. He needs to ban her sister, your former friend, from the room while he's treating the patient. He needs to have a female staff member assist him and act as chaperone should your friend try to make baseless accusations." Opie replies, There's a rule in his practice that a female dental assistant has to be present whenever they, the male doctors, are working on female patients, as most of the patients are young kids and teens, and they might be more comfortable with a woman around. Even in the video she posted, there is a woman assisting my husband. He's reached out to the kids' parents. They're being given two choices. Either they chaperone their daughter, or they need to find a different orthodontist. I really hope it doesn't come to baseless accusations, though. Yeah, I mean, if someone's already unhinged, you just don't want to take the risk, right? Opie updates 2 days later. I don't want to make another post for the same thing, and I doubt I'm going to be updating again. 1. My husband's practice reached out to Raya's parents and informed them about the situation via an email, as they wanted everything documented, like I mentioned in the comments. The parents have responded. They're shocked and very, very apologetic. They have agreed to chaperone Raya on her appointments instead of June. They wanted to meet my husband personally to apologise, but he informed them that that won't be necessary. 2. June's TikTok videos are still in the process of being taken down. No new updates on that. I guess she contested the reports or something. I'm not entirely sure. My husband and I have blocked her. My brother is keeping an eye on her account though, just in case she posts something else about us. We'll see what to do if and when that happens. We're going to be consulting a lawyer if she bothers us again in the future. 3. My husband is kind of shaken up and upset and annoyed about this whole thing. He's taken some days off from work and so have I. We'll plan a trip somewhere maybe to take his mind off of these things. Right now I need to be there for him. I won't be posting anything for now. And 4. We haven't contacted her boyfriend yet. My husband is not in the right headspace right now and I feel it'll be better if we focus on ourselves for the time being. We don't want the added headache of how the boyfriend will react if he's in on this or whatever. We'll inform him after some time. I know this is selfish, but I think it's for the best. Thank you all for the responses. Now for a new update. I genuinely hoped I wouldn't be updating this story again, but life had other plans. We thought the drama was done, but nope. We filled June's boyfriend in on everything, and he was shocked, hurt, and confused. Turns out, June managed his social media, and he had no clue what she was posting. He thanked us and we thought that was it, but then he asked to meet up, saying he needed to discuss something. To be honest, we were extremely hesitant to meet with him. We were so done with the drama and didn't want to get sucked back in, but he seemed genuinely concerned and willing to listen, so we agreed. At the meeting, he revealed he'd confronted June. She broke down, professed her love, and claimed her obsession with my husband was for social media clout. Apparently his total package made for great content. When he asked to see her phone, she refused, so he checked her laptop and found hundreds of sneaky photos and videos of my husband. And for laughs, she had pics of me looking my absolute worst, mouth open while eating, weird faces, the works. I think I'm pretty good looking, but these photos were the opposite. It's like she wanted to prove a point about my husband's ugly wife. June's boyfriend dumped her, but honestly we're even more freaked out now. The scale of her obsession is terrifying. Hundreds of photos and videos? That's not just a crush, that's fixation. The thought of her escalating to something more is keeping us up at night. As a small consolation, June's boyfriend made her delete the videos from her social media and laptop, but God knows how many more copies she has. Despite June not reaching out after all of this went down, we're still on high alert. Her radio silence is kinda unnerving, and we're bracing ourselves for whatever might come next. Hopefully it is in fact just for social media clout, not some weird baby reindeer type obsession with my husband. It's kinda unsettling how she was friends with me for over 2 years. We hung out often, we've gone on weekend trips with her and her boyfriend, we have so many mutual friends, and yet no one knew she's doing this behind our backs. Either I'm bad at reading people or she's very good at being sneaky and deceptive. I'm also mentally kicking myself for not realizing that someone was taking pictures of me. I feel my husband and I both need to be less dumb and more aware of our surroundings, lol. On a brighter note, Raya's parents are super thankful to my husband for still treating Raya after everything. That's it for now. Hopefully, this is really the end. Oh, just when you think June's crazy enough, she goes and one-ups herself. Yeah, this is proper stalker stuff now. Let's read some more comments. Just be careful, OP. Jane sounds unhinged. Opie says we are. It's kinda scary though, cause she knows where we live and where we usually hang out, where I work and where my husband works. Another comment says, man, this is some serious soap opera level drama. Like you said though, better to stay aware. No one likes being caught off guard. Hopefully it ends soon and you can move on. At least the parenting situation seems good. Opie replies, Raya's parents are wonderful. They were the ones who used to initially accompany Raya to her appointments. They said June told them that she wants to spend more time with Raya, and she's otherwise busy so she could be the one chaperoning her. They had agreed because Raya was excited about spending time with her sister. It's really crappy that June was using Raya as a ruse to get near my husband, not gonna lie. Wow, just wow. I would take all the evidence and a statement from the ex to a lawyer and get some type of restraining order requiring her to stay away and remove all social media of you two. She seems unhinged and needs to stay away. This makes me think of a stalker movie, and you guys need to change stuff before the movie has a bad ending. Opie says, we're going to be talking to a lawyer to see what options we have. Our apartment has a 24-hour security, so I doubt she can do anything there. I'm more worried about our workplaces, to be honest. And it seems the plot thickens because there's a new update. I really didn't want to update this situation, but things have taken a seriously dark turn. When I posted about June's thing for my husband a month ago, I thought it was just some weird crush. Now, it's flat out terrifying. The day after my last post, my husband got a super creepy message from a random number. Quote, you've got it all wrong. Please meet me. I'll make you understand. We freaked. Lawyers and cops are on it, trying to get a restraining order. Both our workplaces have ramped up security, and we've warned friends and family to keep an eye out. This whole thing is destroying my husband's mental health. He's anxious 24/7, wondering if he's being followed. He stopped going to work because the feeling of being watched is overwhelming. We're trying to prioritize his safety. And honestly, it's breaking my heart. The other night he broke down in tears. I've never seen him cry before. It was shattering. He's been talking to a therapist online, trying to cope with the stress and anxiety, but even that's not easing his mind. He's consumed by fear for my safety, constantly worrying that June will harm me to get to him. We're covering our bases, security cams, dash cams, the whole works, and I've scoured our home twice for any hidden devices. Thank God, all clear. If things get worse, we're prepared to up and move. Honestly, it's better to have a life in a different state than be dead here. It's heartbreaking to think about leaving our friends, family, and everything behind, but we'll do what it takes to stay safe. Some of the advice on here was really helpful, and I've done most of what was suggested. If anyone has any more insights, please share. I'm desperate at this point, to be honest. Wow, folks, and that's the last update so far. I'll keep an eye out for any future updates because, you gotta believe that there's more to this story to take place. At the beginning of this story, I kinda just thought, it's just a weird infatuation, a crush with someone's husband, whatever. I did not expect it to get this dark. What about you guys? Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's read some final comments. I get the feeling that this won't be the final update. Cutting her off from her crush and getting her backup plan taken away, her boyfriend, might trigger some begging or some retaliation, who knows, but I doubt she'll quietly take that. I've seen June's combination of low impulse control and insatiable need for validation before. It's like aluminium and bromine. Opie should get ready for some bullcrap. This update makes my skin crawl. The worst part about this is that I can see it all being true. Opie probably needs her brother to open a burner TikTok and try to algorithm it to see if this woman has accounts with tons of videos about her and her husband. It doesn't sound like their mental health would be up to this, why I've suggested the brother. I get the feeling the plan was to humiliate OP to drive off the competition, then the husband would obviously turn to her for solace. Imagine the levels of delusion needed to think that you can get a guy to leave his wife by showing him unflattering pictures of her, laughing my ass off. He wakes up next to her every morning. He's seen her snore. He knows. Lusting over a friend's husband, recording him in his workplace, posting online unknowingly? Wow, unhinged and social media brain rot. Disgusting, and I'm so thankful the video got taken down. I'm also offline besides Reddit, so I'd be freaking out too. She's definitely not a friend or a good person. Opie is being too hard on herself for not noticing someone she thought was a friend, creepily taking photos of her. June is unhinged. At least the boyfriend has a spine and didn't try to defend the crazy. Instead, he dumped her and warned Opie and her husband on how crazy the woman they thought was their friend. While it's good to hear it's better, Opie and the others should be careful still. June is unhinged and she is the kind that won't stop. Yeah, I certainly don't envy the situation they're in right now, and that's putting it lightly. Anyway guys, what are your theories about that? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.